Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ask Prashanthi. I'm your host, Prashanthi Reddy. I'm an immigration attorney, and I am dedicated to helping you navigate the sometimes challenging and often rewarding world of US immigration law. In this show, we tackle your questions, those real pressing concerns that you have about your visas, your green card, citizenship, and everything else in between. We pull questions from our channels right here on YouTube, as well as from LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and of course, those excellent submissions from our website. So if you have a burning question, be sure to submit it, and you will see that I will respond in the next episode to answer your question. So let's go right to the questions. The first one is from Durga Rao, and this was submitted on my website. The question is, my H-1B visa is unused and has remaining 16 months. Can I travel if I find a suitable employer to transfer my visa? Yes, you can travel. Since you've been counted towards a cap once before, you don't have to be counted again. So you are cap exempt. So as long as you can find an employer who's willing to file your H-1B, and if it gets approved, and if you already have a visa stamped in your passport, then of course you don't even have to go to the consulate. You can take your old visa that you had, if it's still valid, and your new approval and go directly to the port of entry. I hope that answers your question. Second question is from Madhukar Reddy, and it was also submitted on my website, and it's similar to the previous question. I still have a valid H1 until 2027, but I'm back in my home country. How can I get back to the US? Well, it depends on why you want to get back to the US. If you want to get back, for example, to visit, then you should just get a visitor's visa. It depends on the purpose, right? So if you want to get back as a student, take an F1 visa. But if you want to get back and work, then then you need to file a new H1B. So a company needs to file a H1B for you. Since you've previously filed a H1, you should be cap exempt. And then you go through, it is consular processing, so you'd have to go get a visa if you don't have one stamped in your passport. And then you can travel to the US with your approval and your visa stamped in your passport. I hope that answers your question, Madhukar. The next question is from Suman Kumar, and this question was also submitted on my website. I'm in the process of setting up a company to self-sponsor my H1B. I already have a H1B visa that is now inactive. Can I transfer that to the new company? Well, if you say your H1B is inactive, then what is your status? Presuming you are in status, or presuming you're out of the country and you've never been out of status, it would not be a transfer since you don't have an active H1B status right now. It would mostly be a new H1, either a change of status if you're presently in the US in a different status, or consular processing if you're outside the country. So, yeah, and you're cap exempt, so you should be able to file either one of them, depending on your situation. Now, the question is whether you can work for your own company. As of January of this year, there is a new provision whereby you can self-sponsor. That means you can sponsor your own H1. However, there's some caveats. One is it's for a limited period of time. I think it's for 2 years. It's not for 6 years as the other H1s are. Second, you have to show that you will be doing specialty occupation work. So specialty occupation work is pretty much um, work that requires a bachelor's degree in a specific field. So while you can do some amount of administrative work that is allowed, but majority of your time should be spent doing that specialty occupation job. So for example, if you want to run a software company and you want to self-sponsor, you have to sponsor as a IT manager or a software engineer, and you should be doing most of the time you should be doing that work. So that may not be convenient for some people. In addition to that, you have to show that there is an employer-employee relationship. And that is only possible if there's more than one person in your company. If you're the only one, then there's no employer-employee relationship. So what you can do is either get a partner, give him 51% stake, and then they have obviously uh, the power to hire and fire you. So there is an employer employee relationship. Or you can appoint a board of directors and give them the power to hire and fire. In which case, then that will also suffice to show that there is employer employee relationship. I hope that answers your question. Next question is a frequently asked question. What is the typical processing time for a B1, B2 visitor's visa at a US consulate? Are there any tips for increasing the chances of obtaining one? That's a good question. The appointment wait times really, the main processing time is the appointment wait time, because that could be from several months to even over a year, depending on which consulate you're seeking an appointment at. Some countries are heavily backlogged. Uh, Once you go for the interview, there might be some post interview processing. So if your visa is approved, it will take maybe 6 weeks, 4 weeks to 6 weeks to get your passport back. If your case goes into administrative processing, then that is basically they've denied your visa, they're looking into further information, they're asking for further information in order to decide whether to give you a visa or not. Preliminarily, they've denied it, but they may decide to give it to you after they've looked at this other information. This can take a while, sometimes up to a year, sometimes longer, usually about 6 months. So that could also increase your processing time. Let's talk about tips to improve your chances of getting a visitor's visa. Number one, establish strong home ties. Show that you have stable employment, a family, social or economic commitments in your home country that will compel you to return. That shows strong home ties, and that is very important in order to show that you have the intention to return or the intention not to immigrate to the US. Be clear on your purpose. Clearly explain to the officer why you are visiting the US and have documentary evidence if possible, depending on the situation. Demonstrate financial stability. Provide proof that you have sufficient funds to cover your trip, including travel and living expenses, without relying on working in the US and without relying on loans that you take. So, a bank account with enough funds should suffice, and the bank statements should be for 3 or 4 months or 6 months, whatever the officer requires. Answer the questions honestly and consistently. If you're not consistent with your answers, then the officer will think that you're lying and they may not give you a visa. Submit all the required documents. Ensure your application is correct. Compile all the documents correctly and make sure you have strong supporting documents. And of course, plan for flexibility. Don't make your travel plans written in stone, because then you don't book your tickets, because there's no guarantee that you'll get a visa. So don't book your tickets, don't make any concrete plans until you actually get the visa. And that brings us to an end of another episode of Ask Prashanthi. I genuinely hope the questions that we answered today helped shed some light on your immigration journey. Remember, understanding your options is the first step, and reliable information is the next step. So, if you have a question you want answered on this show, don't hesitate to reach out. You can leave a comment right here on YouTube, connect with us on LinkedIn or Facebook, or submit questions directly on the website. Please follow the link in the description. Thank you very much. See you again next week.